Hello, welcome to another live show where we talk about Sparkle, and I'm hoping we have a few more people this time, and happy to answer your questions. So the big news, of course, is Sparkle 2.7, and slightly smaller news is that Apple released the macOS Mojave. So that's what you're seeing in the background here. Sparkle is more or less the same. It's a bit improved, of course. We made some interesting changes, mainly graphical, and many bug fixes. So let's check out the new Sparkle interface if you haven't seen it yet. I guess many of you will not have installed Mojave yet, so all you can see is the new toolbar icons, or the main thing. These are really, really nice icons. We're really happy. The toolbar looks a lot more fresh and modern thanks to these. Feel free to ask questions anytime if you have them, of course. I'll answer them all together in a little bit. There's not much I can show that has changed. Of course, it's the usual Sparkle we know and love. And what has changed is that Sparkle now has support for all the theme changes that are part of Mojave. So if I open the system preferences here, the first thing to check is this. The accent colors, which are a new feature in Mojave. This is not the same thing as the theme color, but it's graphical related. So if I switch to purple, you'll see the tab here, and different parts of the inspector also turn to purple. Looks like we might want to change that, even though that's its own thing, so it's okay. And the other thing is that the whole interface de-emphasizes. If you see, if I click in the app, it becomes highlighted. If I click out, it becomes de-emphasized, like all the controls and everything else. So this is already pretty nice. Now we can maybe load a sample website I have here. Let's see what I can use here. I'm not sure what these are, so I should have prepared this. Sorry about that. Let's see what we have here. We can even maybe build something. So I'll just start with some, galleries and test images. And so this is a quick way to sort through your images is to pick them and then make one the size and position you want, then align them all, and then have them all aligned, and then distribute them. I should make them smaller, I guess. Sorry for being a little unprepared here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. See, same height. Okay, that's not working like I expected it to work. Anyway, what you want is a little bit of a website built, so it's more interesting to look at. And so I'll add a gallery here. And one of the reasons for the dark mode is to have the imagery stand out more. So what happens is if you have a lot of colorful content, or perhaps even if you have darker content, you can have a little bit of trouble with the especially dark colors being slightly missed with the light background. So suppose my page was some sort of gray like that, and I wanted to have an easier way with editing the content. So this is maybe a little more content here. And, so this is essentially a slightly, more colorful website. What happens is the frame around it, this part here, is standing out a lot. And so what we can do here is use this new in Mojave. Sparkle doesn't have its own dark theme as much as following the system theme that has been set. So I'll click on dark mode here and see how it smoothly animates from white to dark. It's really nice. It's a great effect, and all parts of Sparkle follow along. And say I put a red accent color. Well, that's kind of kind of missing the point of dark mode, I guess. So you can go even for a graphite color and have it all various shades of gray. So what you have now is your colors of your imagery, the content of your website stands out a lot more and is maybe a little less fatigue and definitely creating less ambient light. Say if you're working in a dimly lit environment with your partner sleeping on the bed next to you. So this is really nice, I think, and is a great addition. The icons in the toolbar here will also change color, and you'll notice that they're not the colorful versions, but they are grayscale versions, which is, I think, kind of gives it sort of a silver look that's very elegant. Our site settings are also entirely supporting dark mode, and our publish window as well, the arrange and page menu as well. So that's the first quick look at dark mode. Let's see your questions. Nick says new icons are almost as great as dark mode. Yeah, I think so. They are really great, and they make the interface look more elegant. And some people prefer dark apps and think they are more professional. I personally don't think the theme of the interface makes much of a difference on the professionality of the application. But in this case, if they give Sparkle a better perception, that's a good thing to have. So one thing which is not yet a frequent question, but I think might become, is see, this is the preview of the website. When you switch from dark to light, the Safari bar up here changes as well, follows, so it also is compatible with dark mode, so it switches from a light gray to dark gray toolbar. But the page stays the same, it doesn't change. And unfortunately, Apple gave developers no way to know what color the system is using, so it's hard to, or actually it's impossible to have a website that also dynamically changes its color based on the system theme. There's no way to detect it, and so that's the sad fact for now, is that you will have a single color website. What we would have liked to do was to add support for it in Sparkle, so that when a website running on a system that is dark, when the user changes color, the website also changes color, or even if it's not a dynamic thing like that. But if your page loads on a dark system, it comes up with dark theme, and when it's on a light system, it comes up with a light theme. Unfortunately, that's not currently possible. So what we will be doing is, well, we can't do anything about it. We can't support it. We have a few ideas, but for the time being, you can only have a single theme for your website. So, quick poll in the chat. Which theme do you prefer? Do you like dark mode, or do you like light mode more? I'd love to know, because when you see So if I hide other windows and just look at this, so this screen looks great. I think some screens look a little busy, and so in general, if you have a busy screen, I personally don't prefer dark mode because there's not too much contrast. But if you work perhaps in full screen like this, it can be pretty nice. Yeah. So Nick has a quick question. Do you know if stick to top with edge is fixed? Unfortunately, that's a bug in Microsoft Edge, and for the time being, I'm afraid we don't have a workaround for that. So it will be necessary if you want to see that work properly to just move the stick to top all the way to the top, and so that offset is not repeated in the page. I'm afraid there isn't an easy workaround for the time being, or we would have added it. Sorry about that. Maria-Hélène says she likes light mode but dimmed a little. I'm afraid that's not an option. Apple gave us these two options, and so we are following along there. There is just either light mode. Oh, you mean dimming the screen? Well, that's of course possible if you want, but there are just two themes for the time being. Nick says he prefers dark mode. Yeah, I mean, it looks great when you have a single screen. I understand that. I agree. It's personal preference. If you have, if you have strong feelings about the interface and you see something you don't like, I think that's a good thing for us. If you, come forward with your ideas and maybe we can improve something. And the fact that I personally prefer light mode means I might have a bit of a blind spot to some dark mode issues. Maybe I don't see things which are sticking out a lot or painful. So please do tell us. We also have a dark about window, and we have also dark welcome to Sparkle window, and they will both switch over along with the rest of the interface. So yeah, it was a bit of work, and we're really happy with the outcome. We hope you like that as well. Edge is indeed a pain, and the fact that you don't use it doesn't mean other users don't. So there needs to be a solution. It's not always something which is on website builders. I mean, browser vendors also need to sometimes come forward and fix the bugs they have. And so in this case, workaround on our hand would kind of hide the problem, and it's not like Sparkle is going to make a difference to the Microsoft and the Edge developers, but in this case, I mean, we feel it's something that unfortunately will end up affecting users, and so I mean, if that's something you don't want, the stick to top option can be set. So I'll quickly show you. Perhaps not everybody knows or has seen other videos where we show how to do stick to top. So suppose you have a logo here. So this is your company logo image. Just quickly find some whatever company logo, and perhaps you have a menu bar up there at the top. And make it a big huge menu, and then you have a common heading, so put it to the back and make it stand out a bit more. So that's just like your really quick heading. Make that text white. So typically when you have a page heading, it scrolls off the page like that. Well, in Spark, what you would want to do sometimes is perhaps to make the page preserve the menu at the top. So what you do in Sparkle is you group these, so arrange group, and then you can select stick to top here. Now in the Sparkle canvas nothing changes, but if you go back to preview here, you can see that the heading is sticking up there at the top. So Microsoft Edge has a bug that is such that if you have your stick to top element, slightly offset from the top here. So in this case, it's offset by 83 pixels. This works fine in Sparkle, so it will scroll all the way to the top and then bump and stick there. Well, in Edge, this offset here is, I believe it's doubled. So instead of being at this height here, the whole heading would be sort of like down here. Again, that's their bug, and I hope they'll fix it, but that's kind of how it is. Okay, so quick switch back to dark mode, and Sparkle 2.7 has a few nice additions, so let me quickly view them here in the browser. So say use notes. So we have the new toolbar icons. International domain names is an important change. If you're setting up publishing and your domain name has some Russian text from Cyrillic characters in it, or even diacritics, like an umlaut or something like that. In some cases, publishing setup would fail, so that fixes it. You can drag images and videos from Safari as well, which is fun. Let's try it out. YouTube. So rockets. And
this is an ad for a project management tool called Monday.
sorry about
This
that.
is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like.
So dragging that over. Oops. Oh, something broken. That should work now. Anyway, we'll check that out. So the offline compatible code generation is something perhaps you're not familiar with when you export to disk with like that. So just create a new folder on my desktop, and so this option here, code generation with high performance code generation. This is exactly the site that Sparkle publishes when you publish straight to your web host. But if what you want is to view the files in a browser, perhaps because it's some site which is on a file server or something, then you should generate offline compatible code. This is because the high performance code is what makes you get the very high Google page speed score. It contains deferred JavaScript and CSS loading, which make the page not block waiting for those resources to load from the server. But unfortunately, it doesn't work when you open the site straight in the browser. I can show you this because I can export to the disk and see the new published there, view folder. So if I load this in my browser here in Safari, double click, it will kind of work, but it mostly works actually. Anyway, if you have some items on the page will not work correctly, and that's because of these optimization that our HTML contains. So if you want to avoid that, you should export to disk by using this option here, which is offline compatible, and with that the pages will work properly. So let's see what other notes we have. Oh, so these are a bunch of fixes. So FTP setup, publishing cache, which is in case you don't know, is in the Sparkle preferences here. See, this is a cache, which is essentially, a temporary storage of data, which is a bit slow to generate, like compressed images. So for the very high image compression takes a little while. So by storing it inside the cache here, it doesn't have to be done every time you publish the site. And this was an addition in Sparkle 2.6, and it speeds up the site. It speeds up the publishing very much. It's what allows us to publish a whole site updates in a few seconds. So text wrap with Internet Explorer. We love Microsoft browsers. And a bunch of bugs here, like looking up map addresses had changed because of Google changes, so we fixed that. And yeah, so that's Sparkle 2.7. Watching the white to dark and dark to white transition never gets old. So if you don't have any more questions, many thanks for staying with us for this short 2.7 overview, and leave your comments and questions, and we'll answer them on YouTube via email and Facebook and so on.